Chapter 617, The Arrival of the Great Guardian. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. It's easy to trump up a charge. Believe it or not, I have never conspired with the demonic sect, nor have I betrayed DE. What I did was not a betrayal. If DE can be the young master, why can't I? Red Wish Emissary snorted and clenched her silver teeth. She continued to flee. In their last confrontation, Red Wish Emissary used spells to kill more than 20 masters of the Fish Dragon realm. However, in the battle, she was injured by Cyan-robed Emissary's one-move sword skill. The movement made a tremendous sword chi eruption that left 6 sword gashes on Red Wish Emissary's body. At this moment, fresh blood was gushing from her wounds, drenching her red attire, and continuously dripping. With every step, Red Wish Emissary left a blood-red footprint on the ground. She could feel her injuries getting worse. What an old diehard! With her ice-cold eyes, Cyan-robed Emissary pinched 2 fingers together in a Jianchu. Cyan-robed Emissary's Tao of the Sword had reached the heart integrated into sword stage. She had cultivated the heart of the sword, which was how she was able to exhibit the sword defending technique. Having reached the 7th change in the Fish Dragon realm, she was capable of showing off superb sword techniques and movements. Swoosh! A green holy sword flew out of the sword scabbard, circled in the air, and struck at Red Wish Emissary. Heart-stabbing movement. The ancient cyan sword spun rapidly, and the inscriptions on the blade were flashing, emitting a holy aura which penetrated Red Wish Emissary's back and emerged out from her chest. All the evil cultivators behind Red Wish Emissary were horrified. They have just witnessed what seems to be Red Wish Emissary's death from Cyan-robed Emissary's sword attack. Swish! Red Wish Emissary's body gradually dissipated into a plume of red smoke. About 30 meters away, another body of Red Wish Emissary materialized, and she continued to run away swiftly. Cyan-robed Emissary recalled the ancient Cyan sword. She wrinkled her brows and snorted. Another spell. Although Cyan-robed Emissary had a strong will, she could only resist Red Wish Emissary's sorcery when she concentrated at her optimal level. Therefore, even as a saintly being, she was afraid of Red Wish Emissary. If they were to fight alone, Red Wish Emissary would not lose to Cyan-robed Emissary easily. Red Wish Emissary's chances of winning might even be slightly higher. But now, with Hunter hidden in the shadows, assassinating her masters, the only thing Red Wish Emissary could do was run with the others. Swoosh! On the cliff above Quicksand Canyon, there were 8 fast-moving figures. A group of evil cultivators in glazed bone armors had each of its members hold a dragon bone spear. They jumped off from the cliffs on both sides of the canyon and landed on the bottom. 8 of them were standing neatly in a row. The 8 evil cultivators were all glazed knights. Even among them, the one with the lowest cultivation had already reached the 4th change in the Fish Dragon realm. The man who stood to lead the pack was the commander-in-chief of the Glazed Knights. He looked around 40 years old and had piercing eyes and a massive physique. His cultivation had reached the 9th change in the Fish Dragon realm. Red Wish Emissary, you have colluded with the demonic saintess and caused trouble among the black market factions. Your crimes are unforgivable. Stop resisting and give yourself up. The commander-in-chief of the Glazed Knights stood holding a spear horizontally in his hand. He released his genuine chi, and the powerful chi surged out. As he emanated chi, he transformed into a lofty mountain. The commander-in-chief of the Glazed Knights and the 7 Glazed Knights formed an impregnable buttress, blocking off the entire Quicksand Canyon and leaving Red Wish Emissary with no escape route. The evil cultivators who followed Red Wish Emissary had to stop. Why did the commander-in-chief of the Glazed Knights, Zhang Hanu, come? Zhao Hanu had reached the 9th change in the Fish Dragon realm 30 years ago. His present cultivation is unfathomable. There were powerful foes in front, pursuers behind, and a godlike top killer. Even strong-willed monks in the Fish Dragon realm began to falter. Cyan-robed Emissary, Hunter, Zhao Hanu, they were top evil masters. How were they going to survive? Shibuchu clenched his fists and took 3 steps forward. He blocked Red Wish Emissary's path, who was behind him, and said with determination, "Your Excellency, leave us first and run." Red Wish Emissary saw the 26 evil cultivators who were still with her. Most of them suffered some form of injury. Only Shibuchu and Zhu Yun, the master of the Blood Cloud sect, were strong enough to fight. With her current followers, it would be impossible to break the siege. Red Wish Emissary actually had an imperial edict and could have easily escaped herself. But if she fled, the remaining 26 followers would fall into De's hands. He would torture them cruelly and make them feel worse than death. De would even go as far as to implicate their families. We will fight. Even if I die in Quicksand Canyon today, I will never leave. A look of determination gathered in Red Wish Emissary's eyes. She plunged her holy crystal staff into the yellow sands and stared proudly at the cyan-robed emissary in the distance, preparing to fight to the death. The cliffs on either side of Quicksand Canyon were made of solid yellow rocks over 300 meters high. They were precipitous and jutted out horizontally. Looking up from the bottom of the canyon, you could only see a narrow view of the night sky. Swoosh! A subtle voice rang out in the air above the canyon. A translucent figure appeared, his feet stepping on void space, and his voice was icy cold. Master, there's no way you and your followers can escape today. You can persuade Red Wish Emissary to surrender. As long as she apologizes to the young master, I'm sure he will spare your lives. He is very magnanimous. This man was the #1 killer of Blood Cloud Sect, Hunter. The evil cultivators behind Red Wish Emissary all raised their heads and looked. This was the first time they saw Hunter's true form. Hunter was stepping on two opposing currents of air. He balanced himself above the canyon and stared below like a god of death controlling all human lives. With his strength, anyone who tried to escape from above would probably be killed by him. Quicksand Canyon was like a cage. It trapped everyone inside. Xihong, the master of the Blood Cloud Sect, came out and stared at Hunter. Hunter, it is an honor for me to take you as a disciple. But we serve different masters. You can be loyal to the young master, but I cannot betray Her Excellency the Red Wish Emissary. Don't bother to persuade me. If I die today in battle, you will be the new master of the Blood Cloud Sect. Hunter turned silent and did not say a word. Just as Xihong had said, they served different lords. Since they stood on opposite sides, the only thing they could do was fight each other to death. Cyan-robed emissary stared at Red Wish Emissary and snorted. Yihong Eli, I did not know you were this stupid. Don't you know that you will still live if you surrender? All of your followers will survive as well. Red Wish Emissary sneered and said, even though you're willing to become De's dog, you can't force others to do the same. Even if I surrender, will De let me off that easily? Stop kidding me. Did you think that I was that naive? Kill them. Kill them all. Cyan-robed emissary was enraged and she made a Jianzhu gesture again. Powerful sword chi broke loose from the holy sword. The sword chi engulfed Red Wish Emissary like a tide. It hit the ground and the cliffs, made crackling sounds and left frightful sword marks. Hunter was standing above the canyon when he noticed a sudden huge wave of energy. He raised his head and looked above. In the vault of heaven, a gigantic lightning fire vortex, accompanied by a rumble, had fallen from the upper clouds and crashed into Quicksand Canyon. The lightning fire vortex was made of lightning and fire. It continued to spin and rushed into the bottom of the canyon, before engulfing Cyan-robed emissary along with 7 Yeti warriors. Crack! Dozens of thick lightning bolts shuttled through the vortex and released a great destructive power. A streak of lightning flew and penetrated the belly of a Yeti warrior. It then hit the left overhanging cliff, causing a thunderous noise and leaving behind a rocky, 30-centimeter large cavity. No one expected a sorcerer to cast a level 3 magic arts of the electricity series, the lightning fire vortex, at Quicksand Canyon. The lightning fire vortex swirled on, getting bigger and bigger, forming a turbulent storm. Rocks from both sides of the canyon crumbled, burying bodies of Yeti warriors beneath the boulders. Break through it. Cyan-robed emissary mobilized the genuine chi with her whole body. She activated the inscriptions of the Cyan Holy Sword to its maximum capacity and lunged forward with great force, breaking through the lightning fire vortex. She escaped. The lightning fire vortex continued to whirl for 10 more breaths before subsiding. A section of Quicksand Canyon had completely collapsed. Countless tiny electric patterns were still snaking through the canyon, making crackling noises. The lightning fire vortex attack killed 4 Yeti warriors and left their bodies buried under huge boulders. The other 3 Yeti warriors were badly injured and were laying on the ground, breathing their last breaths. The abrupt change caught everyone off guard. Red Wish Emissary's face lit up with pleasure. She raised her head and looked toward the sky. The Great Guardian is coming. Zhang Yuochen, wearing a metal mask and dressed all in white, soared down from the clouds. Suspended in midair, Zhang Yuochen's hand was holding the Thunder Pearl, the other was behind his back. Am I late, Your Excellency? Red Wish Emissary finally had a smile on her tense face. If you had come a little later, the only thing you would probably be able to do is to bury me. It's good that I'm not too late. Zhang Rukan thought for a moment, then took out the deadwood staff. He threw it to Red Wish Emissary below him and said, "Here's my gift for Your Excellency." Red Wish Emissary took over the deadwood staff and looked at it. Her eyes widened with astonishment. Is this the Ice Demon's deadwood staff? That's right. I have killed the Ice Demon. The deadwood staff is of course for you, Your Excellency, said Zhang Yuochen. Although the deadwood staff was a valuable treasure, it was not suitable for Zhang Yuochen. Instead of selling it for spiritual crystals, he thought it would be better to give the deadwood staff to Red Wish Emissary, in return for her Thunder Pearl. From now on, neither of them owed each other anything.